Alright, here we go. Let's see it. Let's see how this goes. This is gonna be an interesting one again. How do we even start with this one? I don't even know where to start, in fact. So, since I am in Europe, this brand has not been particularly common, especially when it comes to motherboards. Now they've been coming in and they've been pushing quite a lot recently to get into the Western market, right? And they have finally come. So here we go. The colorful AM5 motherboard review. Now this one is a bit special.
How are you?
And I can explain a bit while we take a look at the board, because I've never looked at it. I've never opened this package yet. So we're gonna have a look at it together, you know? Let's have a little experience together. Good evening, what do you mean? Oh, it's 5, it's actually past 5, holy. It's quite late. Yeah, I guess it's quite late. But let's just jump straight into it. Let's find out what this board is all about. I'm actually very, very curious, and there's a little Easter egg that this board actually has. So here it is. Let me pull you up. There you go. I can turn this around. Now, yes, it's gonna be a bit of a yellow experience, even though this box is very white and everything. It's just the white balance of the camera. It is what it is. And I have warm lighting in this room. So it's not studio lighting or anything. It's just a normal lamp. But that doesn't matter. What matters is this. What is it? It's an AM5 B850. This retails for about 210 euros, something like that, something around that mark basically in Europe right now. And realistically, you might think, well, for a B850, that's actually pretty steep of a price, to be honest. Well, the secret to this board is it has a clock gen, which is kind of crazy for this price point for a board like this. The only other board that really has a clock gen is the AYW from Asus, AYW OC. Now, those are actually incredibly difficult to actually get. They're impossible to get in Europe. You need to import them. This, however, you don't really have to import them. You can literally just buy it, right? So that's a direct competitor to the AYW OC, except for the fact that it has 4 DIMMs, right? It just has the clock gen, right? But let's have a look at it together. So this is basically the box, right? Information about the board all around the box, basically. Wherever you look, there's information of the board. And then we have a look at the back. Let's see the back. So you have a little picture, a schematic of the back I/O. You have like all of the specs of the board and everything here. All around strict reliability testing. Seems like they test, drop test. Okay, drop test durability. I guess they dropped their product. Plug test. Repetitive mounting of the plugs. Temperature humidity test. Okay, interesting. Compatibility test. Vibration test. Oh, that's a good one actually. That's for BGA damage potentially. So good for, like, for example, like travel PCs, like smaller PCs that are gonna be like moved around a lot. Full load test. Aging test. Oh, that's an interesting one. And thermal shock test. This is for basically like they thermal shock it with a heat gun or something like that. I don't even know. But yeah, this is a thermal test basically. Protection technologies. There's a lot of information here. Just text all over the place. There's no pictures except for the back I/O, and everything else is just text. Anti-humidity. Anti-high temperature. Jesus Christ. Okay, we have an anti-static ESD chip protection. Holy. Okay, this is actually an older feature from some other older boards. They had this. For example, like Asus TUF used to advertise this on their TUF boards when they came out as like the anti-static ESD chip protection or whatever. They used to do that. But let's check it out. We don't care about the specs on the box, we care about the board. Let's see the experience, how it's like. This is a box, okay. what comes in this box. Can we open this? Is it really that hard to open? I can't believe it's that hard to open. There we go. Oh, what the hell? It's gold plated. What is this? External Wi-Fi antenna. Is it gold plated antenna? No, it's just a normal antenna. Okay, so this is the antenna. A pretty neat box for it, by the way. Like, that's high quality. That's high quality box. That's the only thing that's in this box. But let's check the rest. Very annoying box, actually, to open and close. Yeah, okay, there we go. There you go, and then you're greeted with the board, which is in a weird orientation. Usually, like, the board comes in a box like this, right? Obviously, but this thing comes in this direction. But let's see, how do we open this? Do we really not get any more accessories? Let's see the bottom. What is on the bottom of this? We get some white SATA cables. Okay. We got M.2 spacers right here, the grommets, rubber grommets. So, more of them, actually, 3 sets of them. Front panel connectors, easy connect, and then M.2 screws, 2 of them, 2 sets. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, I see you, I see you. So you get some decent accessories with this for the board. The grommets might actually come in handy if you use a lot of M.2s. There we go. Now let's check it out. How is bro building? I'm not building a PC. This is just a motherboard review. By the way, I used to build like 6 PCs a day, by the way. On stream. While testing for performance and overclocking and testing CPUs and RAM and GPUs and so on. I used to do that. Not anymore. Not anymore. Sadly. But that's it for the box. There we go. We can move this away. Now let's check it out. Actually, I'm curious, dude. I'm curious. What is this board all about? Let's check it out. Okay. Ooh, this is not plastic. That's the first thing. You fell off? Yeah, I fell off. I completely fell off. So this is actually not plastic. This is full aluminium, I would assume. The heatsink is massive. Holy, that's some of the biggest fins I've ever seen on a heatsink, including the other one. That's some massive fins on this thing. This little thing is actually screwed on, and it's just a little plastic plate, basically, plexiglass plate right here. I wonder if this, it can't lit up. There's no RGB around it, so I don't think this actually lights up unless, no, I don't think so, no. There's no way for any RGB to be mounted here. Here you have the battery, very obvious. Here's your audio chip. There's no LAN over here, so it has to be under the heatsink. We're actually gonna check that out, because I don't see these boards at all, anywhere. So I'm actually curious about the VRM thing. So we're gonna disassemble the VRM heatsink. How much does this pleasure cost? What do you mean pleasure? This board specifically, it's around 210. So here we go. This is a toolless heatsink, it seems like. We're gonna take it off a little bit later, but let's check the overall board first. Right? You have the plastic mount right here. Let's see what kind of socket this is. Is this the Foxconn or is it Lotus? It's the Lotus socket. Okay, interesting. I personally prefer the Foxconn socket. Then you have the VRM, of course. The VRM spans basically from here all the way down to here. You have the output caps right here. They're rated 560 actually. They're rated 560 2.5 volts. What does this code say right here? I usually look at these codes and try to read out what it says. It says 250930 version 1004. I believe that is literally the first BIOS on this board. Then you have the DIMM slots right here. It marks which DIMM slots are the primary slots. And you can also see that the DIMM slots have this plating around them, right? This metal thing. They supposedly help with EMI, or that's kind of like a myth. Realistically, I doubt they do anything significant. But yeah, they have this little metal brace or plating around them. Then you have obviously the two 8-pins, which is pretty good for a board like this. It means they might actually just be able to push quite a lot of power through this VRM. It just suggests it, but okay. However, one thing to note, they're black. They're black connectors, and all of the connectors, if you can see, they're black as well. Now, they're high quality plastic, by the way, so these guys are really good, but they're black on a white board. So that might be like a little bit of an oversight for this board, especially like for the DIMM slots and everything. So it's a bit of a mix, you know, it's a bit of a contrast. Then we have a look. The PCI Express slot is literally the first slot on the top, and I appreciate the fact that they've left quite a bit of room between the slot and the VRM heatsink right here, because a lot of the GPUs these days have a really thick backplate. So when you actually mount the GPU inside, you sometimes get obstructed by the heatsink, the VRM heatsink, or even like the M.2. Now there's no M.2 over here, but if there is, sometimes you get obstructed by it. So that's really good. I appreciate that they pulled the heatsink up quite a bit to make room for the GPU. That's very notable. Let's actually have a look what's under here. So this thing literally comes off as one piece. We can see 3 thermal pads right here. They're very thin thermal pads as well. That's interesting. So that's gonna keep your SSD or M.2 cool. Apparently, I'm not exactly sure if these guys are exactly the same. They look the same. They are even named the same. Now you can't actually see it, sadly, in detail, but they are technically, they look the same exactly. I can't actually read out, but they might actually be responsible for the eCLK. Potentially, unless there's another chip responsible for eCLK. God knows which one exactly it is, because I didn't look at it in detail. I didn't actually verify which chips are actually the eCLK and everything. But yeah, so in terms of M.2, you have 1, 2, 3 of them. This one is CPU, this one is 2 CPUs. Okay, 2 CPU M.2s. And then I would assume that this is the PCH, but I actually can't see the writing. It's literally right here under the heatsink. Okay, so there's a little sticker right here. Ooh, that is a very big sticker on this little heatsink. So I'm gonna actually remove this, and I will just stick it into the box. I don't wanna like lose this. There we go. All right, continuing with the little overview of the board. What are these guys? JBIOS and then ESPI header. You have the front USB 2.0. You have the clear CMOS right here, by the way. That's a clear CMOS. Clear CMOS header right here. That's the RGB, of course, another RGB. That's addressable RGB. Not exactly sure what this one is for. It's not even marked, but they left it unpopulated. This is the speaker. Wow, this is the speaker header, and this is the front panel. Interesting. What is this? This is the COM connector. You have the 2 fan connectors right here, the audio connector right here. You have 1x PCI Express right at the bottom. These guys are usually useful for like audio cards or something like that, or like LAN cards or something like that. The capture cards usually come in 4x, so you couldn't really use this for a capture card or something like that, unless your capture card is 1x, but yeah. There's the heatsink for the chipset, right? Which is pretty beefy actually, this little heatsink right here. Now let's look at the side. So you have 4 SATA, 3.0 Type C front panel, 24 pin with solid pins, by the way. This is with solid pins. Another addressable RGB. So that's four addressable RGB connectors right here. And then you have 4 fan connectors. What are these guys? This is pump. This is fan, CPU fan. Another pump connector. Ooh, interesting. And then you have the chassis fan, and I would believe that these guys are chassis fan as well. Yes, they are. Then you have the LEDs. Here you have the post LEDs. You can see boot, GPU, CPU, and DRAM. There you go. Very clean. There's another unpopulated thing right here, unlabeled. Wonder what that one is for. But that's basically it for the little overview of the board. Now let's have a look at the back side, right? Let's have a look at the back side. So there is, in fact, 2 backplates, which is kind of funny. So you have a backplate on the VRM area right here on the back I/O. And there's another backplate right here, which is covering the chipset. So let me see if there's a thermal pad on either one. So there's a thermal pad right here on the VRM, but there is no thermal pad on this one. There's nothing on the backside of this one. It's just potentially just an aesthetics thing. I don't even think that it brings any rigidity to the PCB. It doesn't look like it brings any rigidity, because the only things that are connecting this to the PCB are the screw holes, and that's about it. Here you have the board name, basically. They put the board name right here, and this is the colorful CVN. And that's the back side. Let's see let's check out the traces. That is your traces, memory traces. Very straightforward, nothing special in terms of the trace layout. No via drilling or anything like that. It seems like this board was created in 2539, so year 25 and week 39. This is the BIOS chip right here, which is interesting. Wow, that position of the BIOS chip is actually crazy. This is the BIOS chip. Wow. Crazy business. Here you have the code. Let's zoom out, and there's really nothing else going on the back side of the board. There's some capacitors right here. Seems like for the SoC. Yeah, most likely for the SoC. And now we can actually look to potentially disassemble this, because I'm curious. Also, by the way, this is a quick release mechanism. Actually, it's not a quick release mechanism. It's just a lock. This is a locking mechanism. Let me see if this actually gets pushed. Oh yeah, it does. It does get pushed, and it's a locking mechanism. Basically, you lock it to unlock it, right? Click, and that is unlocked then. So this would be permanently unlocked, which, to be honest, this is pretty clever. The fact that you can keep it unlocked permanently, that's pretty good thinking, to be honest. Not bad. And if it's locked, it just gets pushed away, right? It just gets pushed away when you plug in the GPU. So not bad. Good one, colorful. All right, let's have a little look at the VRM. So let's disassemble this boy. Yeah, wrong way. Let's have a look at this little VRM. I'm also probably, I'm gonna take off the socket.
Hamburger, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you? Let me just... Yeah, okay. So the torque strength of the screws is pretty good. It's not too loose, it's not too hard. Will this screw jump out? Yeah, it will. Imagine just getting the board and disassembling it before even plugging it in. But yeah, we need to investigate. We need to investigate the VRM area. I've never seen this board. There is potentially reviews on...
Pretty dead a lot of prepping wood and stuff for next year, but got pizza and doner.
Pizza and doner is pretty good, yeah? So, the VRM is actually making contact with this little plate on the back. and this is, yeah, getting actively cooled. So that's pretty good. It also gives the board a little bit more rigidity. Everything else does not get any contact. So these guys, these chips potentially on the backside, I would assume that this is LAN and something else as well. God knows what. We'll see when we uncover the thing. They don't get any cooling, no active cooling. So there's 2 more screws, this guy. And I'm actually curious as well if this heatsink has a heat pipe. I didn't actually notice a heat pipe. We'll see. These guys were actually very stiff. Also, there's a little plastic piece right here that stayed in my hand. Let me try to put it back on. Yeah, these plastic washers are actually very thick. And that's it for the heatsink, by the way. Let me see if there's a heat pipe. There is none. Okay, so we can actually just straight up potentially, right? Pull this off. There you go. That's one. Good thermal pads right here. Didn't break when I pulled this off. That's pretty admirable, to be honest, that the thermal pads actually don't break. Let me see if there's anything else holding this thing. There doesn't seem to be anything else holding this in, so let's try to pull this off. There you go. Again, well, it did break a little bit on the bottom, but that's nothing significant. It's still reusable, completely reusable. We can just mount it back on, and that's it. It didn't make a mess while pulling off. Again, like, this heatsink is pretty massive, by the way. Like, this thing is heavy, right? Not bad, but no heat pipes, right? But you can't really complain. For this price point, you can't really say anything about no heat pipes or anything like that. So this is the back IO plate. It also comes off. There you go. So this is our naked board. Let's have a look. Let's have a thorough look at the VRM. There we go. Sadly, like, this camera doesn't really like white boards. It really goes into dark mode when it sees blackboard or whiteboards. Sorry, I can't actually read what exactly these guys are. I'm not even sure if the camera can read what these guys are. I might be able to get the numbering if I put some thermal paste on. Actually, MPB 87670. By the looks of it. Yeah, MPS 52522. Not exactly sure what the rating of these guys is, because I'm not into the power stages anymore and not as deep as before. But here we basically, like, we can see what the VRM is all about. So this is the SoC right here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 phase. I would assume that that's phase. And then 1 supplementary power, which is MISC, most likely. Then we have the chips that we actually saw on the backside. I wonder what this chip actually is. It's a GL3523. Maybe, potentially, that's a USB. And then this one right here. Maybe I can bring you in. Yeah, there you go. 3523. And then the bottom one. Can't actually get a good angle on it, sadly. That's Realtek, so that's LAN. Yeah, the bottom one is LAN. There we go. That's our overview. Very basic, very simple, nothing too special. Good VRM by the looks of it. Let's have a look at the backside. Yeah. Nothing too special, in fact. Just simple input filtering and then simple output filtering. Nothing too special. nothing flashy. You have some filtering on the PCI Express slot as well. Now let's take this socket off. Let's take this little socket off. Is this for someone's build? No, this is just a review. Literally just a review. Now, if it lands in somebody's build, that's not up to me. It might not, God knows. But for now, no, now it's just a review. Only a review. Let's have a look under here. Let's see the traces. Alright, so obviously nothing special, just a normal integrated loading mechanism. And here we go, full naked motherboard. Full naked, right here. There you go. Again, nothing really too special. It's a matte white PCB, right? So it's not shiny. Matte white PCB. You can see some of the traces. You can see the PCH traces coming right here into the CPU area. You can't really see the PCI Express traces, in fact, they're probably underneath. And nothing really else noteworthy here. Oh, you have an EVC connector right here. This guy right here. That is an EVC connector. That's pretty cool. Interesting. You can hook up an EVC onto this and control the VRM. I would assume, based on the position of this and it's right next to the controller, I would actually assume that that is the I2C interface for the controllers. And then we have a look at the back. So the back side is actually pretty funny in terms of like this area, because it doesn't have the coating on the PCB. Right, it's just the normal white PCB, right? The stock white PCB, and then the coating, you can see it's around it. So the silver coating is around it. And we can see the memory trace area. You can see it's coming straight into the CPU socket. That's the command, right? And then the traces themselves for the signals, they are covered. They're covered. Let me see if there's potentially a layer count somewhere. Usually layer counts are in the bottom corner of the board, but this one seems to not really have a layer count on board. It's not a very heavy board as well. It's a fairly lightweight board. So I wonder how many layers this thing has. I would assume that it's a 6-layer board. Again, that is a complete assumption. I don't see any layer count on this board, sadly. Unfortunate. But yes. There it is, the full naked board. There you go, except for the heatsink for the chipset, but we don't need to remove that, there's nothing there. There you go, and then the back panel. Now the back panel is very interesting because they actually label some of the stuff, right? They label some of the stuff and you can see it right here. You can see clear CMOS BIOS update, and it clearly shows you that the USB right next to the button is also the USB that is used for the BIOS flashback. And here are the buttons, you can easily press them. Now, the one thing that I actually like about this board, when this plate is actually on, you can't really press the buttons accidentally because they're a bit indented, right? You can't feel them if you rub your fingers right across the backplate, which is really good, by the way, because when you handle the PC and when you try to plug in stuff from the backside, you can easily press the button if it's sticking out of the back IO. Now the fact that it's inside, you need to use like a screwdriver or like a little thing to press it in, which that's how it's supposed to be, right? You want to be using these buttons specifically when you're doing something, you know, not accidentally pressing them. So yeah, the back IO is actually fairly significant. As you see, like 4 2.0 ports, 4 3.0 ports. I'm not sure if these are 3.2 or whatever, but these guys probably are. Then you have display out, which is pretty cool for APUs and everything. I mean, even the normal CPUs now have the iGPU, so you can use this. The Wi-Fi and obviously the audio plus optical. That's, in my opinion, this is the really good I/O. The only thing that I would prefer would be one more Type-C. At least 2 of them would be cool, but again, at this price point, you're asking a lot for like changes like this, you know. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the little overview. Let me actually take a couple pics because I have it disassembled now. There we go. A little quick shooting session. There we go. I don't think I need anything else except for potentially like a picture of the VRM. Hopefully I don't drop the mobile phone into the socket while I'm doing this. There we go. Can I do like a little close-up of the freaking thing? Because I'm not sure if I can actually capture the power stages. Hopefully that captures the power stages so I can read what they are. It doesn't really capture the power stages, no. It's a shit phone, so I can't do it. Anyway, let's reassemble it. While we reassemble, I will actually put a bunch of spacers behind, or under, I should say, under the loading mechanism. So let's do that. So that's gonna prevent the CPU from bending too much. You know, that is beneficial when you're doing this. Need to be careful of the socket, obviously. You're handling stuff right around it. So careful of that if you're doing this. And first I want to put this on because it's much safer than to put the VRM heatsink on. Hopefully I don't drop anything into the socket. That would not be ideal. Okay, now this holds the thing. To be extra safe, I just need to put this on then. Come on, you can capture the little holes. There you go. There you go. There you go. This one is a bit sideways. There you go. There we go. There we go. Nice. Okay. Well, the rest of the screws go in. Actually, I need to remove this in fact. Never mind, because I'm not using a standard cooler. I'm using an LF2. An LF2 needs a different mounting mechanism. So, this is the mount that we're using. Yeah, I can actually mount this, and then I can change the CPU as well. No worries. That's all good. There we go. We're gonna play? Yes. We're playing, of course. This is a review. We need to investigate what the BIOS is like. And because this board is actually so uncommon, I'm actually curious what the board is all about. I've seen tests of it, or specifically like I've seen tests of colorful boards, not specifically this one, but some others. And yeah, they look promising, to be honest. It's not too bad. This one can just stay on. This little thing, the back IO can literally just stay on like this. With the two little screws, these guys, actually I have the wrong screw on. There we go. Oh, no, 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 don't bend. There you go. We'll see what this board is all about. Hopefully the first BIOS actually is the correct microcode. I wish it was, so I didn't really have to flash anything. But this guy goes straight on like this. Then you can flip it around. It's already in. These guys get screwed in by this, so I need to do this one first, I believe. Come on. Are you gonna squeeze in? There you go. Okay. So these guys go in here.
Login.
Login. Okay. Now we need to put this back on, this little back plate. There we go. Ooh! I fucked up. Actually, these screws go on top of the back plate. That is hilarious. I gotta be the dumbest. There we go. Alright, now it all goes in. Come on, there we go. Oh, actually it doesn't matter because like this heatsink doesn't cover these two screws. So you can put this heatsink off and on whenever you like. There we go. There we go. Okay, we are prepared to mount a CPU inside of this. Now, to do that, we need to take the CPU out of the gene. So let's do a little comparison side by side, if you can actually see this, because the boards are the same form factor. Right, what are the differences? Realistically, not much. Same PCI Express position. The slot on the gene is a little bit lower versus this one. This one is a little bit higher. The gene has a bigger VRM, probably, like much better components as well around everything, filtering. It's a 2-slot board versus a 4-slot board. Yeah, other than that, it's roughly the same. Same slots right here. That's it. Yeah, so let's take this CPU out. Alright, let me see if I have a little cover for this. I do. There we go. So we're done with the gene. And we're gonna do the colorful. The colorful. Let's put this boy in. 9850X3D. Godbin CPU. We're gonna find out how Godbin it is in this board. Perfect. That's our little transparent cover. We're gonna put it in. And that's it. that is it. Let's put this on the bench. There we go. Aha, this one actually has the middle screw, but realistically we don't need it. There we go. All right, connection. This front panel power button. There we go. We have the cryo sheet right here. Cryo sheet. Let's put it on. Right.
What's the name of the test bench?
Of the test bench, dude, I forgot. I have the box for it. It's a weird name. I completely forgot. All right. Oh. There we go. Bink. CPU fan, where are you at? CPU fan. Of course, we're gonna do the Royals. Pretty soft slots for the memory. That's interesting. And I'm gonna need another 12-pin connector if I want to do my 5090. I don't think I modded my 5090. I forget. I know I modded one recently, but I'm not sure if this was the 5090 mod. I have to go. Doesn't look like now. I'll just connect both of them. So, white board with a white GPU. Perfect. No, it's not modded. Okay, so I actually have to connect both of them. Now this is going to be actually a test. Yeah, you can see how much space there is between the backside of the GPU, the back plate, and the heatsink. You see that? That's pretty cool. Okay, the locking mechanism is perfect, by the way. I love it. Really good. Manufacturers, take notes. Take notes. This is a good locking mechanism. Right. Oh, actually, I could still plug in the M.2 because it's on the bottom. Right, so the M.2 should be something along the lines of this. Let's plug it in. Yeah, it still fits just barely. There you go, quick mount. There you go, in. Nice. Good stuff. So we have 3 M.2 slots on this little board. Where's my HDMI? Hello. HDMI is right here. There we go. HDMI right here. Power on. And then, wait, I need to swap these guys. Hold up. There you go. No, there is LEDs. Oh wow, okay, wait, I can show you this. So there is LEDs on the little buttons. Oh my god, that is bright as hell.
Hello, Mr. Pookie, I have arrived.
I can't actually show you this, sadly. This LED is insanely bright. Oh yeah, you can actually see that. That is insanely bright, very green. And that's the only LED on the board, by the way. Let's try to power on. I don't need that. I will also have to check which bias this 5090 is on. I hope it's not on the big one. Hopefully. Okay, so that was an insanely fast boot. I'm just gonna plug it in here. Let's see what happens. It's the V2, by the way. Toma, it's the V2. This postcode LED situation is insanely bright, by the way. Insane brightness. Let me just do this. And I will set up the LED postcode so you can actually see. As I usually do, we're going to be looking at the LED postcode. So we can see the behavior and the booting and the posting behavior of the board. Observe, you know, observe. It gives a little bit more information. Okay, this is booting. Observe. And it will also tell us whether or not the memory overclocking has failed. Alright, we're in. I need to move this camera now. Guys, dude, you're so needy. I need to move you around all the time. All the time, bruv. All the time. Hello. I'm in darkness. Right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look what this board is all about. I'm actually excited. Let's see. First time on colorful. On a 4-dimmer eCLK board. Let's see if it works. Hello. There's an open door right next to me.
Hopefully this Mobo does well enough, where you will considering testing the cat-themed Mobos.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see. Anyway, I need to change the resolution, of course. Otherwise you can't see. So here's the res. Keep changes. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what kind of microcode this thing actually has. 3F. Oh, that is a shame. Let me see if there's an earlier BIOS for this. Is there an earlier BIOS for this? There is. There's one earlier BIOS for this. And it's not early enough. It is what it is. We're gonna have to go with the latest. Because this is the... I don't like this one. So we just have to go with the latest. It's either the latest or the 1203A. It is what it is. So let's see what they got. So now I actually need to copy this. Oh, I could... no. Here it says, note, please update the MCU firmware before updating this BIOS. If you need to flash back to a previous version, please use the one-click BIOS method. What do you mean, please update the MCU? How do I get the MCU? There's nothing in here. Is there a specific way to update it?
Update the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes. Oh. Oh my god, the guide is in Chinese. Are you... Oh, thank god. It's not all in Chinese, it's also in English. They use the same USB key as I do. That's hilarious. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about MCU. What do you mean MCU? How do I update the MCU? I would assume that that's literally like you just freaking do the BIOS update. Computer universe, imagine. Imagine. Alright, I'll just copy the whole thing. There's MCU firmware. What do you do? Oh, you need to put it on a USB? Okay, I need to put it on a USB apparently. And then this one is in Chinese, by the way. Like, what the hell? That's our BIOS. That is our BIOS. Alright, let's have a little overview before we update anything. Let's see this. Alright. Is this clickable? It actually is. No, never mind. What is that? What is this mouse, by the way? Okay. That is an interesting icon for the mouse. You can't click on this, by the way. Okay. Favorites, BIOS update by USB, English, RGB LED, audio LAN PXE. Aha, okay, so this is the UFI or legacy. That's for legacy benching if you want to legacy bench on GPUs or something. RAID, you have all of the SATA and M.2 display right here. BIOS priority, you have the boot priority, and then you have like a easy OC thing right here. Load optimize this F9, save changes F10, print screens F8, advanced mode is F7. That's kind of like Asus. F6 is search. How does search look like? Not bad. Can't find. I don't know. Okay, it works well. Good. Favorites is F3. Then you go F7. Ah, okay. So this is the layout. You can see everything in this little window, like the specifications, a GSA and the BIOS and the CPU. OC, all core, per core, disable, auto. Ah no, disable is just the bottom one. Okay, never mind. Has just another window under it. Core VID, you can set the core VID, load line. It just gives you a percentage, kind of like EVGA, the way that they used to do it. X3D game mode, that's just disabling the... If you have a 2 CCD, it disables 1 CCD and then disables hyperthreading. BCLK mode, asynchronous, that's the best thing about this board. The only argument to buy this is the asynchronous BCLK. Okay. CPU external frequency, you can set it. Then if you set this, yeah, if you set this, it sets the CPU external frequency. Precision boost overdrive, mode 1, mode 2 limit. That's fine. Advanced CPU, AMD overclocking. Okay. Precision boost, that's normal. Yeah, that's completely normal. Normal. Oh, you can disable the CCDs and cores right here. You can set the TDP if you like. Oh, SoC OC mode, that's pretty cool. AVX512 is in here as well. Spectrum. Memory set. Really? That's the last option? Okay, no crazy voltage settings in here. What? No voltage? What? Okay. Memory profile automatic. Expo and manual. Memory frequency. FCLK div latency. Just give us the legacy 1, legacy 2, and I forgot, enabled, I believe it's like. Okay, this is kind of like MSI. I absolutely hate it. High memory voltage mode. Okay, pretty good. We can set the voltages here. Oh, here you go. CPU VDDIO MC voltage. VDDIO voltage, obviously. VDD MISC, which is usually 1.1. It doesn't really display what the voltage actually is. That's surprising. It doesn't show. SoC voltage, obviously, is self-explanatory. VDDG voltages, global. Yeah, okay, sure. VDDP, you can just write it in, I would assume. Yeah, okay. And here are the timings. Let's see the timings. We can actually just check this. This is a weird BIOS. I can't really scroll up and down on this properly. Need to get used to it. Memory profile, manual. Let's see what it shows. You have the WR timing, surprisingly, which Gigabyte hasn't figured out how to implement yet. I'm kidding. Don't sue me. This is standard. Yeah. I see. Yeah, SCL second one. Power down, memory. This is kind of like Asus. That's it. Just basic RTTs down here, no groups or anything like that. Let's have a look what's under advanced. CPU. Oh, that's classic. C states disabled by default. Okay. Turbo mode enabled by default. Okay. A bit peculiar. CPU. I doubt that's actually the case. C states disabled by default. That's crazy, bro. Really? Okay. I'm actually noticing there's no VID readout on this. So no SP scores on this, it seems like. Power supply idle. This is all standard, by the way. This is all standard. That's basically the stock AMD menu. Yeah. There you go, we got that group. Watch out, baby, watch out. There we go. That's what MSI is missing. I see you, MSI. Unlock this. There you go. That's all completely standard. Yeah. See. That's just the chipset. PBS, graphics, discrete. Nothing else in here. SATA configuration, that's standard. USB. Nothing special. Super I/O serial port on. Trusted computing enabled. NVMe chipset settings. Primary display. Ooh, that's where you go into the primary display. Integrated graphics. Ooh, chipset settings and then into integrated graphics. That's how you disable it. Okay. Good to know. This is also the Gen 5 here. Usually like beneficial for daily PCs, or if you're experiencing like flickering black screens and driver crashes, you just put it to Gen 4 if you have a Gen 5 GPU. So you can find that here in chipset settings. Above 4G, rebar enabled, power. Ooh. RGB LED control, you can disable RGBs if you want. Device settings. That's standard AMD overclocking. No CPU settings in here. Okay. Only this. That's, I guess, fine. PMU, perfect. You got this setting right here. Good. Standard. That's all standard. VDDP, SoC, that's in another menu as well. And that's it for advanced. Let's see, boot. Timeout, 2 seconds. Fast boot enabled. This is how you disable it right here. CSM. I don't even know how to disable it. I guess in the main menu you can disable it. There's an easy way. PXE. Secure boot, of course, enabled custom. Password management, that's fine. Monitor. CPU fan conf. Oh, this is kind of like Asus. Okay, I see you. That's fine. That's fine. It's just annoying that you have to go into a menu for every fan. That's a bit annoying, but it's fine. It's fine. Tool, BIOS update. Update, save. Ooh, you can save. OC profile. Oh my god, you have the OC profile menu. Load profile. This is exactly like Asus, but favorites. Okay. And then you have some QR codes. There you go. I still don't know how to update the firmware. Apparently I need to copy this, like this little USB right here, and copy over. So let's do that real quick. Because it's in Chinese, bro. It's in Chinese. It says format to FAT32. And then... where are you? Let me just find it real quick. So firmware, I need to copy this and then put it onto the USB, and then let's see the... I wonder how the flashing behavior actually works for this. Because this is now the... Does it tell me to... Can I translate this? Is it possible? I don't see a translate button. Is it this? No. It's all in Chinese, by the way. It's all in Chinese. Oh. What the hell? It says plug it in and then... Okay. That's the firmware. Here's the little thing. Let me see. Oh, what the hell? So there is a green LED that is permanently on, and it's extremely bright. And then when you press the button, oh wow, when you press the button, an orange LED comes on. It stays on for a little bit, and then the PC turns on. Now this is an interesting thing because the RAM LED is actually on right now. So if I show you this, where's the little screen? Here it is. So there you go. Oh my god, that is a very sharp picture. That is a very sharp picture. In it. Oh, that's a CPU LED. What the hell is that? I don't think I did it correctly. I'm not sure what I did. Why is the sun so bright? That might have done it. I think it says 10 to 20 seconds, by the way. Is this 10 to 20 seconds? What does it say? I can't even copy the text. Fuck. I'm not sure what it did. Let's hope that it updated the firmware. Alright. Wi-Fi. This is an experience, let me tell you. Classic. Alright, I'm copying this over. I need to, yeah, I know, I need to adjust the freaking camera. I'm working on it. Alright. Let's do this. Where's my mouse? There it is. Update BIOS by USB. This one. Bin. 1010. Is it gonna do anything? Okay. Version. Update. Please confirm. You have to disable CSM secure. Ah, I see. Secure boot for CSM to show up. Updating BIOS. Meanwhile, I can actually adjust this little thing right here. Perfect. Perfect. There you go. Little postcode right here. There you go. Now we need to wait. Why is it so dark? It's dark because the camera is picking up the freaking light from the door. Anyway, how have you guys been? Tell me. Tell me. How is it? Saturday afternoon. Are we doing good?
Yes.
Yes, we're doing good. This BIOS flash is insanely slow. Oh my goodness. Maps with the tweet. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. However, if you post links on Twitter, nobody will see that post. You need to not post links in your Twitter post. Or tweet, I should say. I see you, I see you. Alright. Is at least the BIOS is I didn't actually feel that it was too responsive. It's a bit chuggy, you know? It's a bit like, I'm not sure if it's gonna click or not. Since you deal with so many boards, is BIOS flashing still the quickest on MSI? That's actually a good question. I guess it depends how much you're actually flashing and which platform you're actually flashing. Because MSI also, like I've experienced MSI flashing for 15 minutes. So I can't really say a specific brand is the fastest in terms of flashing. I feel like Gigabyte is one of the fastest, to be honest. Consistently the fastest. Like all of the boards take just about the same to flash. And then there's Asus with some boards, for example Intel, where it flashes multiple parts of the MC and sectors, obviously, so it takes like one sector, second sector, third sector, fourth sector. It takes a while. MSI is on some boards, if you're not flashing too far apart in terms of BIOS revisions, it can be also fast. ASRock, however, ASRock is also very fast, by the way. ASRock is very fast in terms of flashing BIOS. This one took a while. You can see the postcard. I love it. Nice. Not bad. Also, I'm not sure about the LED that is permanently on when you power off the PC. Because when the PC is powered on, the green LED is not on. Nothing is on, in fact. There's no LEDs on the board, which is a plus or a minus depending on who you are. For me personally, that's a plus. But the green LED turns on when you turn off the board. And that is insanely bright. So, I'm not too sure about that one. Also, come to think of it, I didn't see a gear down mode. Did I see a gear down mode option in the BIOS? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I saw a gear down mode option. Let me check again. What the? Wait a minute. Where's the gear down mode? Hello? Wait, let's check. Why is this posting 3 times in a row? Thank God. Okay. Okay, three boots, 3 posts. Oh, wait. Never mind. I thought it went into HD mode. It looks a little bit more clear now. Like the text looks sharper compared to the old one. Okay, so it might be HD mode. Might be no difference at all, but it looks clearer. Okay, F7. Let's check out what happened. So what changed? Nothing changed. Now it's X3D AI Turbo. No. X3D Turbo is not enough. There has to be an AI. Auto select for X3D? There's multiple turbo modes. What the hell? Okay, I'm not even sure how. I know what they're doing. They're doing the MSI thing. MSI is using this. The turbo modes are basically the eCLK presets. Holy! Wait a minute. We might actually test that. There's an easy way to test it. Very easy. Okay, so OC, core VID, load line, same thing. X3D game mode. External frequency. This is just this, yeah. Advanced. I'm not a big fan of this actually. The way that it behaves. But you can get used to it. You can get used to it. I can see it. Precision boost, that's normal. Same thing. Same thing. See what I mean? I hate it how it behaves. Same thing. Memory, FCLK, latency, high efficiency mode. High efficiency mode? High efficiency mode, I would assume that's preset timings. What's the search again? F6, hello? Oh, there you go. I had to press it twice. No, F7 is advanced. What? 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 Is it potentially like latency or high efficiency mode? There's no way they don't have gear down mode. Huh? Oops. F9? I believe ASRock has F9 for saved or set defaults. Actually, now that I think about it, the behavior is kind of like ASUS BIOS. So if I go into a menu, and if like a sub menu even, like CBS, and if I go to a left or right, so for example, if I go to OC, it goes straight into the sub menu that you were in. I like that. I actually like that a lot. Interesting. Go, go, go. CVS, yeah, see. No. No. Okay. No. That's just the, yeah, terminations. Refresh management. Ooh. Disable. Enable. Force enable. Okay, here's your refresh management. That's a new thing for AMD. Memory P state. Memory P state. Cool. Context restore, and that's just, yeah. What? Okay. Well, will be interesting to see efficiency of this versus... Dude, we can't find gear down mode. If this thing doesn't have gear down, I need to figure out if it's high. I believe high efficiency would stand for just automatic timings. And latency, obviously, would be the legacy, or I should say, you know, the legacy option, right? Legacy 1, legacy 2, and then enabled. All right, let's have a look. So, basic tests. Just to start off. I don't get a readout. Oh. I'm legitimately gonna get rid of this and pin this. Okay. Cool. 1.1, or actually no, 1.0, a little bit more. 800, 900, 900. Yeah, that's all standard. Cool. Let's see the basic performance of this CPU. Usually you would want to hit at least 950. But let's give it a shot. Here we go. Okay, decent clocks under load, under this specific load. It actually doesn't want to boost more than 85 degrees or so. There's no special sensors on this. We have the VRM temps right here. And that's it. That is it. That is actually, unless I'm using a too old version, which also might be the case with them. What's the score? 966. That's okay. Good. Correctly behaving system. Just a bit more nonsense. And that's it. MISC is right here. That's it. Yeah, a bit more nonsense. Okay. Should we jump straight into it? Let's create a 6000 base profile, if we can do. Let's see how it behaves. And we can also test how long it posts. You missed a what? Uh-huh. Okay, stopwatch. Where are you at? Stopwatch. Reset. Alright, let's do this. Can you not select what your main screen is? I also didn't see an option for this. I can't select what my main screen is when I enter BIOS. That's a shame. Unless I have to save a profile, which I don't think. I'm just gonna use Expo, yeah? FCLK, I'm just gonna leave it auto actually, and let me see what the board does. Latency. Should we just try to like XMP it? It shuts off. It turns back on at 5 seconds or so. Hi dia. Well, let's see. Once the screen pops up, that's when I stop the timer. Let's give the board should give us an idea. Usually Gigabyte is, if I'm not mistaken, Gigabyte is like 34 seconds or 1 minute and 10 seconds or so, like something. I can't actually remember. I need to actually look. Oh wow. That's 43 seconds. Minus 5 because the board shut off. So it's essentially 38 seconds for post. Okay. 38 seconds for post, not bad. Let's see what it does. Okay, GearDown. Mismatch. Okay, we have a mismatch. 1.2. Okay. 1.04 VDDP. Not necessary, but it doesn't damage anything, so fine. Okay. Everything else is JDEC. Okay, next up is the high efficiency mode. What does the high efficiency mode do? I'm hungry. I need a doner. A doner, give me a doner. Also, do we see the main screen now? No. Okay, that's a bit annoying. I can't set, or at least I haven't found out how to set the main screen. Would be cool. So, high efficiency mode. Enable. Enabling this may affect system stability. Please operate with caution. Does it change anything? No. Power down, enable, disable. It doesn't really show.
I see.
It doesn't really show anything. Oh, it shuts off. I'm touching
when
the
you enable
heatsink.
the new menu shows.
When you enable the, I didn't see. What menu? New menu shows. Timing preset. It's basically MSI. It is basically MSI. Shake my head. Okay, so guys, don't use it. Like, no, just don't use it. Don't use it. Just don't. Never mind. It's cooked. It is complete, guys. You gotta colorful. You gotta update this, man. You gotta update. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. I can give you the right targets. The correct targets, not just the right targets. It is literally the same except for the WR. Let's see. Okay, they dropped RRDL to 8. Okay, perfect. Why do they use 10? 10 is such a weird value. Just use 8 or 12. It's like, what the... Okay, so they dropped 499 on the TRFC1. That's the tightest. Guys, colorful, just hit me up. I can give you the values. It's okay. It's okay, bro. That's gotta be the dumbest. Okay, so this is definitely not gear down. Where the hell is gear down? This is also not, by the way. Latency turbo is the stupid legacy thing. I'll show you. Can you work? Gee, it needs 2 times to hit enter to apply. Also, the VRM is getting pretty toasty, honestly. Well, while not doing anything, it's getting pretty toasty. Anyway, I'm not gonna be using the legacy thing. Can anyone figure out how to do gear down on this? And before someone comes in, they're like, just use skewing. It's like, it's not about skewing. It's about having the option available so I can change it without skewing. Alright, we're back. Anyway, the easiest way to find out if it's legacy is this. If this is below 80, around 74, I believe, it's legacy. If it's over 80, then it's not. Okay, so it is like, yeah, it is okay. Oh, fuck. It's useless for games, by the way. Complete uselessness. Now it's synced. Ooh. Nitro has been pre-configured. Okay. Where the hell is my gear down mode, by the way? Guys, where is it? Where's my gear down, bro? I ain't doing shit without gear down, I swear to God. How do we find it? Okay, so Nitro has been pre-configured, it seems like. though it doesn't show that it's pre-configured. Okay. It doesn't show. I actually didn't check what VDDIO they're using. That's fine for this one. For this CPU, this is fine. I'm gonna leave this on auto. Sure. Okay, so you need to type it. Ooh, you need to type it out. Okay. You can't use plus and minus. Look. Oh yeah, you can't see it. Doesn't it's not on the screen. You can't use plus and wait, on the TREFI. You can't use it. Okay. TRC is down here, really. Sure. There should be gear down here, by the way. Literally right here, there should be gear down. Where is it? I swear to God. What?
XDT arrived.
Hello. Turbo mode? What is turbo mode, by the way? Is it this? Lul. Kif, have you found out where gear down mode is on colorful? Because you have the meow board. I don't know where the freaking gear down mode is. You don't have search? I do. I tried to search it. It doesn't pop up. Robust. GDM mode. Nothing. Did not do an in-depth look at... Okay. Oi, oi, oi. We are cooked, boys. Are you serious? Are we guys? Come on, man. Like, how is there no gear down? It should be literally right here, by the way. Here on the TSME. Can this BIOS be any slower, by the way? It's so slow. What the hell? Yeah, it can't be any slower. Okay. So it should be right here, by the way. It should be right here. Doesn't exist. What? What? P states? You think it's P states? I could try. Also, it needs 2 times to hit enter to apply. I smell some barbecue, bro. Oh, what the hell? Dude, I need to go to the neighbor's place, man. Oh my god. Dude. Ah, barbecue. Are you serious? Okay, so at least first I know. Alright, I know, right? The 2-time apply. Yeah, it's annoying. So you say the P states. Memory P state. I don't think it's this, but still. Oh, 07. Hold on, Derby.
Cat sitting very comfortably around the campfire with its friends. Kate sitting very comfortably around the campfire with its friends. Kate sitting very comfortably around the campfire with its friends.
Relax, man, relax. Cat sitting very comfortably around the campfire with his friends. Let's see. GearDownMode. Colorful. Are we serious? Are we serious? Is it mismatched? It's not mismatched. Interesting, but it's 36, so that means it would be 35 by default. That's interesting. 6060. I don't have a Ryzen Master. Also, this is the latest BIOS version as well. So technically, it's the most updated. I am very confused. I need to also look at the BIOS of the Jeep before I start testing. I need to look that this is not the freaking 2000 watt BIOS. Okay, thank God. It's the stock Galax, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Try exploring with skewing. They literally said it 25 minutes ago. It's like there's always gonna be a guy that comes in here is like, did just use skew-in. It's like, that's not the point, man. I know that skew-in will have it. I want to have it in BIOS, accessible in the normal BIOS, not with some hack or tool or whatever. Like, fuck, man. I'm sorry. I didn't want to flame you, or I'm sorry. But it pisses me off how stuff is missing, essential stuff, which should be accessible, and it's not, you know? Let's find out how reliable this thing is. Just a little quick test, yeah? A little quick test. Now this is GearDownMode, so alright, GPU, let's put you to the test. My fault? No, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. What? 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 You know what this means? Ah, hell no. Yeah. How do I measure this? I can't. Fuck! How do I measure VDD2, bro? VDDIO is VDD2. The fact that it's 0, 0 means that it's over 1.43 volts. What? VDDGs actually are pretty good. VDDGs I can agree with. No, it's not. Nothing is showing in hardware info, by the way. Nothing. Literally nothing. Even the updated version, by the way. I extracted this just recently. This is still like, it's a bit older than the recent one, obviously, but it should be okay. So like, yeah, there's just SoC, and there's literally nothing. No, that's gotta be the dumbest shit. If this is 1.45, guys, the colorful, please. We gotta fix this, bro. We gotta fix the high efficiency mode ASAP, and we gotta fix the VDD2, I should say, VDDIO. We gotta fix that. We also gotta fix the up and down on the CPU, unless I don't think the CPU does 60/60, by the way. So, or I should say like the combination of the board and everything. I don't think it does that. So, let's see. So I left it. Never mind. It just bugs out because I said it. Zen timings, I swear to God. I think Zen timings is probably bugged as fuck. Never mind. I thought I left it on auto. I'm sorry, colorful. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's Zen timings. That's good though. That's good. That's good. You said it. It doesn't show. It doesn't display on the in the tool. But we know that it's this. Well, at least hopefully. Is there a monitor for it? Yes. Ooh! Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so it is correct. Yes. Now, how do we find a GearDownMode? I'm gonna get freaking PTSD from this. Same thing happened to me. Sun doesn't have bug report, etc. Worse than what? Yeah, yeah, I know, and it still hasn't been really fixed. I know, I'm aware. Non-exposed. Colorful, please, please. That's it. Like, it is so essential. The option is so essential. This literally makes me not want to use the board in daily PCs for my clients. Yes, that's how essential it is. So that's crazy. Now that we have the profile, let's just save this again one more time. Oh, it doesn't save anything. You just need to resave it. Okay. Let's see the X3D AI Turbo. Auto select for X3D. Request PBO optimizer. Turbo 1 is designed for lowest CPU quality, while Turbo 4 is designed for the best CPUs. This gotta be the biggest troll, by the way. I swear to God, it gotta be the biggest troll. Quality of CPU has nothing to do of what they can actually achieve with settings like this, preset settings. Yeah? Because it depends on the VID. Now, lower VID as in lower voltage required for specific frequencies, CPUs, yes, they do seem to be, obviously, better bin, and they can operate at lower voltages based on the manufacturing. The problem is, because they're using the lower voltage, they have very restricted overclocking potential. So in fact, really bad CPUs might end up overclocking better at stock settings with presets because they're using higher VIDs. They require higher VIDs. So this becomes a bit obsolete when you consider that as a factor, right? Obviously. It's a bit weird. So we're gonna see how that works out. What did it set? Oh my God, I should have checked. I should have checked what it said. I'm gonna check again. I'm gonna load the profile. Wait. I went too quick. Load. What does it set? Precision boost overdrive, advanced. PBO limits, manual. 100,000 billion. $1 billion. Scalar, 800. What do you mean? What do you mean, 8x? What is this? Negative. Negative? What the what? What do you mean? You underclock the CPU. You reduce the thermal limit. And you reduce the volt. What? They gotta be trolling, bro. What the hell? That's gotta be the biggest troll I have ever seen. Is it April 1st? What's going on? Are they using eCLK? No. I don't understand. What the fuck? They're using negative core clock offset by 200. How is it? I'm a bit confused. Yeah, no, it's fine. What? BCLK? I know, right? It's gonna be worse than before. No. What do you mean? What the fuck? Half of the options aren't even there. Didn't it limit this thing to 80 degrees? Is Control-Alt-Delete exiting out the BIOS potentially saving the BIOS? Because the only thing that I did is load the friggin' 6000 profile without the turbo to see what changed. It's 4 points higher than before. I am mildly confused. What? Hold on. Just so we're clear, it did not apply. You know why? Because I loaded the OC profile. Watch this. So the usual behavior that boards have when you Control-Alt-Delete out of the BIOS is that it saves nothing. Nothing. If you change the whole BIOS, everything, every single setting, if you Control-Alt-Delete out of it, nothing gets saved. Just the previous configuration gets loaded. I said this, yeah, save, and we have all of these changes. That's why there's no difference. That's why there was no difference. Also, when I change that, the board fully shuts off, restarts, and it restarts fairly quickly because it's only CPU settings. Yeah, so we're in, right? We're in, and actually, let's just skip the BIOS for now. Let's go into Windows. Let's see what the behavior is, because I was confused by the behavior because I'm used to, if you Control-Alt-Delete out of the BIOS, nothing gets saved. I didn't save the profile, so we should be on the previous one, this basically. We should be on the this. Exactly. So basically, for 9850, they underclock your CPU for free? You call that AI turbo? What do you mean? What do you mean AI turbo? Now, obviously, this is going to perform better, by the way, in all-core scenario, because it's actually reaching higher all-core clocks, lower voltage, and an undervolt on the CPU. It's not using as much voltage. The boosting clocks are much. They're a bit higher, right? So, in all-core, it's going to perform a little bit better, but they Underclock your CPU boosting. What? What are they using for testing? Are they using Cinebench? Like, this is not the way you optimize a CPU, bro. Like, what? It's a way of optimizing your CPU if you want. If you use eCLK especially, that's even better. So, of course, all-core is going to score a little bit better because we're reaching higher boosting because of the undervolt. But you underclocked my CPU by 200 megahertz. Are we serious? A good example of this would be CPU-Z, which has a very fast single-core, single-threaded bench, right? Bench CPU. You have an all-core and then a single-core, and in the single-core you can actually see the performance. So let's see it. See, this should be 900. This should be 900. Instead, it's 860. Because it's not boosting. Most of the workloads in your daily system are single-threaded or maybe multi-threaded slightly. So your single-threaded workloads in your like daily system are actually going to benefit from not having a tune at all, apparently. Because we're not having a underclock. Like, guys, good attempt, but it's not the right way. It is really not the right way. Guys, that is hilarious. Anyway, what I'm actually shocked by, which was completely accidental, by the way, that is a completely accidental finding. Let's see what happens. When you Control Alt Delete out of the BIOS, nothing should get saved. Nothing. I didn't consult to a freaking or I didn't agree to a freaking save and exit menu. So load profile, load. I'm loading the previous 6000 profile, which has the OC CPU on auto. And then if I do this, right? If I do this, I check what the BIOS settings are. I exit out. I'm like, okay, now we know what the settings are. And let me Control Alt Delete. The board doesn't shut off. It just continues to post. Absolute cinema. You gotta be joking, bro. Dude, it saves when you Control Alt Delete out of the BIOS. Are you serious? Now I have another question. If I do this, and if I just load the profile without hitting F10, right? Without saving, without going into the save menu. Let's see. So I load the profile. That's a next level, by the way. If this happens, this is next level shit. Load. I just loaded the profile, so this is basically it. And I will Control Alt Delete. I can't really show you, but Control Alt Delete. There you go. The X3D Turbo AI shit should still be in place. If it's not, that's next level shit. It happens. Okay, good. It happens when you load the profile and then actually engage in save and exit, and you press OK, and then it shows you what the changes are. The next question I have, the third question, is because now we changed the settings for the CPU, right? We changed the settings for the CPU. If we exit out, does the board shut off or does it continue to boot? It shuts off. That is crazy. So you can apply settings, press F10, enter, and then Control Alt Delete out of the BIOS, and the board will not shut off, and it will still apply the options. That's gotta be next level shit, man. Impressive. Impressive. So you're telling me if I change this, I'm just gonna change a simple thing. Oh, it has the MSI thing. Oh no. Why is this a combination of MSI and Asus BIOS? Because when you set the voltage, it sets VDDQ as well. But it doesn't set VDDIO. So it's a bit of MSI, but not fully, because MSI also sets VDDIO when you set the VDD. Okay. So we set a bunch of shit, right? We set a bunch of shit. And then F10, enter, and now everything is changed. And if I Control-Alt-Delete, it will go straight into post. We found, boys, we found a loophole. We don't have to F10 save and save. We can just F10 save, Control-Alt-Delete, and we don't have to wait for the board to turn back on. That's gotta be the dumb. That's, oh my fuck, dude. What the hell? I'm using Control-Alt-Delete from now on. That's gotta be the dumbest shit ever. Also, yes. Watch this. And yeah, it actually applied. It applied, man. What the hell? Okay. Let's see the Turbo 1. Actually, the Turbo 1 says it's the worst CPU. We can actually see what the differences are, by the way. We can see what the differences are between the worst CPU and the best CPU. Mr. Hackerman. Yeah, we're just finding out stuff. Accidentally, by the way. I didn't think that this would be a thing. I just Control-Alt-Delete because I thought it would not. It was never gonna save, obviously. But it did. So I was like, what the fuck? Alright, so let's see the changes. Yes. Control-Alt-Delete. That's gotta be the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Boys, oh my god, what a loophole. Because you legitimately lose like 5 seconds every post if you go to like enter and save out of the BIOS. You need to wait for the board to shut off and turn back on. Now, okay, to give the manufacturer credit, right? Some credit. This is actually a reliable way of making the board apply settings correctly every single time you change something. So the board shuts off and turns back on. It just resets the power, basically, right? It power cycles the board. So technically it is more reliable to do it like the way that they're doing. So credit to Colorful for actually doing it the way that they did. But the fact that there's a loophole, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. What the hell? Also, there's like 2 essential things. I want to have an option to go to advanced menu from the get-go. So easy menu, advanced menu, that should be an option. And gear down mode. The rest is fine. The rest needs like optimization, you know, like freaking the high efficiency mode, you know. The rest needs optimization. So let's see Turbo 1. F10. Save. This is basically the same. 8x. negative 280. Oh, this is basically, it's basically the extra D profile. Yeah, it's okay, so it's basically the extra D profile, the auto select. Okay, F10. 8x again, 150. So they're downclocking our CPU a little bit less, and they're applying a bigger curve optimizer. So this is where the VID shit comes into play, by the way. The really good CPUs are not necessarily, based on these settings, are not necessarily the really low VID CPUs. Because the really low VID CPUs, they are good bins, but if you do this, you go too low on the voltage, and they're gonna start crashing way sooner than the really bad ones, by the way. The really bad ones have a lot of VID, they have a lot of room to work with for undervolting, so really bad CPUs might actually do better levels than really good CPUs. That's where the tweaking comes into play, right? So, level 3. 8x 100. Okay, we're only underclocking the CPU by 100. Okay. Minus 10. Okay. Is level 4 or turbo 4 20 then? 75 only. Okay, we're still underclocking the core, but we have quite a bit of a VID, or I should say curve optimizer offset. I'm shocked that they are underclocking the CPU, by the way. You see this? CPU boost clock override, right? Enabled negative. Okay. Well, Control Alt Delete. Okay. Let's see CPU Z now. Where's my... Is my PC crashing actually? Let's see bench. I'm curious. Single core, let's see. 880, something like that. Oh, it's 890 even. Holy. So... Stock should be 900, by the way. So they are underclocking the CPU. That's still fine, I think. I mean, not all CPUs are actually going to be able to do minus 25. I know that there are CPUs out there that they can do 25 CO. And this one is, right, I get it. So they compensate for the stability with the thermal limit. The thermal limit is 80 degrees, so I actually agree with that, by the way. My personal favorite limit for temperature is 83. That's just the way that I've set up systems. So 83 degrees, 80 is fine. So that's completely fine. And once you load up the CPU with a heavy load, then the CO will not be a determining factor for stability as much as completely unrestricted core, right? Because there's a thermal limit. If the thermal limit was 95, for example, then the minus 25 CO might actually be a determining factor there. So that's cool. I mean, I'm okay with Turbo 4. It's okay. It's okay. It is still underclocking the core, which is kind of hilarious in my opinion. But it's fine as just a preset. Turbo 4 is completely fine for most CPUs, in fact, by the way, because we're underclocking the core. And I'm not sure if this actually applies to the 9800 X3D, which might actually suffer from this a little bit more in terms of performance. Because if you're underclocking a CPU that is boosting to 5.25 gigahertz, you're underclocking, like, dude, you're suffering a bit if you're underclocking that one. But yeah, in a vacuum, that preset is fine. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. Let's see the efficiency. 3D Mark 11, 3D Mark will actually tell us what kind of CPU performance we actually have on this. Specifically TimeSpy CPU. If TimeSpy CPU in this scenario is 17,300 or over, we are good. If it's 17,000 or less, we are not good. Come on. Oh, 07. We're good. We're good. Not bad. The efficiency is there. Just with a basic, I guess it's not basic in terms of memory timings, but with a basic CPU preset, we're good to go. Also GDM, please, guys, just give me GDM, man. Everything else is fine. Yeah, everything else is fine. The score is fine. It's just a weird approach to CPU, like underclocking the. You're essentially giving us less performance. It's like. However, with the 9850 X3D, if you're just doing an undervolt in terms of CO, you might actually run into some serious instability issues. Because like this core is boosting over 5.6 gigahertz in light workloads. And that is really difficult with any kind of undervolt. So, yeah. Okay. Good. We're just going to put it back to stock. Actually, no, I'm going to load the profile. There we go. Is there anything else? There's this, right? There's this. So, ooh. Now you get the PCIe. Not bad. Okay. Mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. I don't want to use that actually. How much is it again? It's like around 400. We'll see the voltage. We'll see the voltage. Platform. We're just gonna set it to 95 actually. No curve. We're just gonna focus on FCLK. eCLK. Not FCLK. No shutdown for you. That's stupid. Now we need to check out the voltage. And I'm hoping that the voltage is actually going to be around 1.18 volts in R15 Extreme. We turned this CPU into a 9800 X3D, The thing is, we also undervolted with that offset because the offset gives us an undervolt. Basically, the voltage follows the VID. The VID follows the frequency of the CPU. So you can see it right here. Actually, it's a little bit higher than expected. In this case, is it potentially the VRM load line? Is it potentially the load line? Because I remember this CPU being a little bit better than this. Yeah. I remember this CPU being a little bit better. Mostly people didn't touch the LCK gains with 1,000 in it. There's something I'm missing here. Yeah, I don't really touch that. So, yeah. I don't go to the extent of touching that because the normal performance is okay. If I was going to the absolute extreme, probably I would. Actually, I went to the menu here. Now I want to shut down it because I set the eCLK. So let's find out eCLK overclocking on this. And then once we find out how the eCLK actually works on this and how efficient it is, we can actually move on to Gear 2. It's taking a while to post, yeah. That's with the eCLK change, yeah. But the post is very, very quick. It's honestly faster than Gigabyte, which is impressive. Okay, let's have a look. So what are our load voltages? Perfect. It's a bit hot for my taste, but it's fine. It's just a normal IHS CPU. That's how you do a tune, right? That's how you do a tune. Let's see another score. So that's the fastest that we've seen this. Not the fastest that I've personally seen it, but the fastest that the board has been clocked at. Let's see. Ooh, we're struggling. We're struggling. Yeah, we were struggling. Okay. I see you. We can try one more notch. We can try a 105.5. One more notch on the BC or eCLK in this case. Let me see if this change actually goes through. If I do this, does it go through quickly or no? It posts. No, never mind. It goes out through. Okay, so it goes through quickly. Cool, cool, cool. Man, I love the post code. Post code. The post camera, you know. Alright, we should see a score of about 1015, if not higher, if this passes. Yeah. Just. If we see 1020, I'm gonna be surprised. The PCB is not really getting hot under load, at least in the short low bench. Well, I'm literally touching it right underneath the CPU. And it's fine. Yeah, it's a little bit higher than before. Not quite as much as I expected. Okay, no, the board isn't as efficient as I would have hoped for, sadly. But it does behave as expected in these conditions. It does behave as expected. Let me see Linkin Park. I call this benchmark Linkin Park because of MapsCorp. Classic. Where do I even put it? I don't know where to put it, because if I do this, then it's gonna cover the result. And if I put it here, then I mean it. That's fine. There we go. 5.3. Not bad. Ooh, that temperature. Okay, okay, we're pushing to 170 watts almost. The VRM does not care, by the way. This is a solid VRM. This would easily do a 9950. Easily. Yeah, like, what the hell? Not bad. Good VRM. Good stuff. 492, that's okay. That's okay. We're good. We're good. Okay, let's stop that. We're good, boys. We're good. Alright, now that that's done, we can go to Gear 2. The problem is, again, GearDownMode, no option. What? But it is what it is. So we're gonna OC profile, we're gonna load, and we're gonna load like a 8000 at stock CPU. It doesn't need that much, by the way. It needs literally this. It needs this for SoC. So let's do this. It will not post. It will not post. Nitro. Nitro. Okay, so let's experience what it feels like when it does not post. For anyone who cares, I did a little bit of a, like an overview of the VRM. How's the 5080? You're telling me that this board recovers? Memory training fail. What? Okay. An AMD board that recovers? Okay. I'm down. Okay. Classic. Classic. So the advanced settings get reset when it recovers. That is a classic. Send it. Send the Meow board? Oh my sweet goodness. If it doesn't have gear down mode, honestly, it's a bit of a yikes, man. Dude, I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. Also, no, like we said, no sending from UK. I swear to God, we're not dealing with customs again. Gear 2 seems to take quite a bit longer, which is normal. Gear 2 takes longer to actually post. Seems like it's about a minute and a half, I would assume, based on how the gene works. A bit more, unless it failed. Sending to maps instead. Ah, sending to maps. Dude, oh my god. Imagine. Dude, is this failed or is it? What's up, baby? What's up? Let's see the RTTs. Now, Zen timings is might actually be incorrect. Zen timings might be incorrect on the RTTs. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna keep this open. We need to wait for at least one cycle. Let's see. You could upgrade the sister's PC. Do you have an AM5 CPU? Another one? Another one. Or maybe you're planning on buying the 98 and then giving the 78 into the meow. The meow. Alright, I see how it is. I see. 8,000 on a 4 dimmer AM5. Okay. Okay. No RTTs yet. Oh shit, the VDDGs went up. Shit. I just noticed VDDGs are freaking 1.06. No need for that. We can stay 900, no problem. 950 is fine as well. So far, honestly, disregarding the missing settings in the BIOS, it's not bad. First cycle, yeah, it should be like very quick. About 1 minute more. Force down. No. The only thing that you can argue for this versus force is the eCLK, the IO, and I guess the M.2 slots. That's it. And the eCLK being the biggest factor. But for the price difference, no. We didn't check the... Oh, we didn't check the limits. Oh. It's been 2.5 hours.
Hello, big
we didn't check the limits yet.
How are you?
We didn't check VDD limit. We didn't check VDDIO limit. We didn't check SLC limit. We need to check limits. Oh my god. I can't believe we forgot. Oh my god. 2.5 hours in. I'm gonna check the limits. Are you serious? I'm doing pretty good. Thankfully. This is what you asked for. Harry is back down. Alright, second cycle. Let's see if we error out on 15, 06, or 2 or 12. And if we don't, we can just go straight back in and check the limits. Holy smokes, man. Cocaine. Yeah, it's fine. This thing is fine. And now it could be GDM, by the way. It could be GDM. How is my efficiency? Let's see. This should be less than 17. Should be 15. Okay, my efficiency is a bit weak. Not great. Not great. Now, what's it called? Stream stores will help that, obviously. $84. Now we need to see the limits. So let's find out. What are our voltage limits? Oh my goodness, man. What is this? Hallelujah. It keeps going. What? Oh. Okay, VDDIO. Hallelujah. You can't see. Oh my goodness. What? 2 volts VDDI. Yes, absolutely. I want to blast my CPU out of the board. What? SOC? No more than 1.3. Oh well. However, as we can see, not bad. Not bad. Not bad for voltage limits. Okay, so we're definitely VDDP. Wait, VDDP. Oh yeah. VDDP has 1.3. Okay. As we can see clearly, we are not limited. Hopefully, Control Alt Delete doesn't save these options. Imagine. Okay. Anyway. Jesus. Why am I looking at the postcode? I could be looking at the screen. I should have changed VDDGs. The Gear 2 post is insanely long. Can it take any longer? There we go. All right, let's find out. Didn't I have an AMD tool? Didn't I have the AMD tool? Not sure. I don't think so, actually. I forget where I put it. I know I had an AMD tool, which reads the other values as well. Sad. Anyway. Yes. Cool. Okay. Gear down mode. That's already pretty impressive, by the way. Not bad. Not bad. Really. Hmm. I wonder if they have pre-configured groups. It doesn't start. Yeah, currently only Intel CPU. Yeah. What a shame. What a shame. I know that I had the tool. Do I not have the AMD tool? No, I don't. Swear to God I did. Where's the AMD one? Excuse me?
Holy shit, colorful, I cooking some shit right theory chat BQZ these 4 days good, it's completely cracked. They airy cooking dude please do the matrina come to Europe please when you hit the shipment button. Cat sitting very comfortably around a campfire with its friends. Kate sitting very comfortably around a campfire with its friends.
Nice one. so. I thought so. I thought so. I knew it. So it's 40, 60, 40. They're not really cooking. And it's 66. Dude, where? Which one do I trust? Oi, oi, oi. Yeah, I thought I had this. Oh no, it's gonna reset. Scheiße. There you go. Okay, they are cooking, definitely. What is our VT3 score? I knew I had the memory, the void timings. So it's 40, 60, 40. That is impressive, by the way. I know it's gear down, right? It's gear down enable, which is a bit yikes. But honestly, like, impressive. Like, this is with GPU load and everything. The VRM doesn't, like, the VRM doesn't give a crap, by the way. Not bad. Like, this is one of those boards where the VRM would not care about the 9950 actually, or 9950 at all.
Wow.
Like, this thing doesn't give a shit. The PC is pulling 822 watts, by the way. 822. Full system. Cooler on the GPU, hard carrying, by the way. Yeah, that's the Hall of Fame for you. Yeah. Not bad. Not a bad dude. Okay, there's our score. Not bad for this CPU, by the way, for AVX512. Okay. Colorful? I am surprised. That was way easier than I thought. 8200, easy. Let's save this profile and go forward with the 84. And we'll see if we need to change any kind of like proc ODT up and down. Potentially RTTs and in the end groups. Actually, no, the first one will be groups. First one will be groups, we'll see. So 8200, 3. Right. You need to go into a sub menu. I don't think I need to change the volts. I will, however, change the primary just to 36, just so we're safe. just so we're safe. Oh yeah, right. Double time. There we go. Yeah, I guess the thing that the board is lacking a bit is the aesthetics. So mainly RGB, you know? So personally, I actually prefer it with no RGB, but I can see it as a downside that the board actually does not have RGB for most consumers. Most consumers want their stuff to be a little bit flashy, you know, especially if it has like a plexiglass on the heatsink and everything. You kind of want that to like be lit up in a color, or just RGB just in general. And this has none, zero RGB. It's a bit of a shame because I look on the side and I see it as just a plain whiteboard. I'm like, it could be like a little bit flashier, you know, for a normal consumer. It could be a little bit flashier. Let me see if this even posts. Because at this point we're hitting VDDP. VDDP is probably gonna require 1.15 plus, like 1.17 or so, for this to work. Oh, it posted. Colorful. Interesting. Still same. 38 and 40 PHY. What sauce are they using?
Wow.
What? Ah. Still, very impressive. It still keeps going though. That is very impressive for just stock settings. Not bad. Not bad. This is a bit confusing. $86. Ah, the long post times. Never mind. Hmm. But it's very impressive that it actually worked at 84, just like that. It would require probably like minimal changes to actually make it work. Now, obviously it might be related to VDDP, VDDIO, because we're still using 1.35, it might actually like a little bit more. That goes into hours and hours and hours of potentially like finding out what makes it work. So, not ideal to do on stream. But let's see the performance. So let's see how actually the performance stacks up if I try to like tighten up this stuff.
TRC64?
No. Hmm. Wait. That's the max tune basically. We'll see. For 8,000. One thing to note, it is really good at recovering. It's basically like Intel LGA 1700 at recovering. In fact, it feels like MSI LGA 1700 recovering from a memory overclock or something like that. It's exactly the same. It just shuts down, restarts into safe mode, and just you're straight back in basically. Now it will obviously reset the advanced settings, so you need to be careful of that. It will reset the advanced, so you need to load a profile and then it works. And then you're good to go. You can't just continue setting the settings because it will basically reset all your advanced stuff. So also I didn't do stream stores. So this time around I actually didn't do stream stores. But let's check it again. 6060. I'm surprised. Everything's set, by the way. Everything's completely set. Good shit. Not bad. What is our physics score? It should be oh my god, it's fast. Okay. 44.5. Okay. Okay, we're good. Yeah, not the fastest at the beginning. I'm surprised it's not as fast at the beginning as I thought it would be. It's really not fast in this. I was expecting a bit more out of Time Spy. Fine. Fine. I'll take 18. Yeah. I'll take 18. That's fine. I know people are gonna complain, oh my god, useless benchmark. It just gives you an idea. It's worth noting as well, like the BCLK or eCLK I should say also works, unlike the OCF. 65, not the best, not the best. But you can lower this with the latency thing. Why Cruncher? Let's try it. So how much will it be? Will it be again 17 or is it gonna be a little bit lower now? Good stuff. 16.5. Yeah, that, I mean, we're good. R15 Extreme, we already know. R15 Extreme is gonna be 1010. It's a fun board, definitely. So I will not in this stream basically. I will not invest the time into actually figuring out what it takes to actually get like 86 working or even like 84 working or whatever. But it does show very good prominence to achieving those speeds with minuscule adjustments based on what your RAM is, based on what your CPU is. It might be VDDIO, it might be RTTs, might be some of your timings, maybe some voltages. But it's there. It's literally there. It's out of the box there, which is crazy. Most of the boards, even 2-dimmer boards, by the way, they struggle at 8400 unless they have some presets in the BIOS. Right? We're talking groups, we're talking RTTs or presets for different DIMMs or something like that, you know? This one just straight up just worked, you know? So realistically, the conclusion, let's start with the bad. The bad would be BIOS missing crucial settings, mainly GearDownMode, the ability to actually set what menu you start with. Is it the advanced menu or is it the easy menu? So those two things should be in the BIOS, accessible, and be able to set them. I'm not sure about the green LED when you power off the board. Like, that is a bit bright, honestly. I'm I'm not exactly sure if the RGB option allows you to disable that. I don't think it actually does, because the RGB would potentially just do the RGB connectors. And that's about it, honestly. In terms of the bad, that's basically it. It's basically the BIOS missing a bunch of specific settings. And then there's the good. It's a decent price. It has eCLK that works. That's important. eCLK works well. It has okay presets for the CPU. Not the best, but I can understand it, right? It has insane voltage limits. Like 2.5 VDD and 2 volts for VDDIO. Like, you are absolutely wild, out of your mind to actually give it those limits. The only thing that's kind of limiting, it would be the SoC, but I understand, again, I understand 1.3 volts SoC. I completely get it, right? So that would be kind of like the only limiting voltage. Some people actually prefer to have it a little bit higher, especially if they're trying to like mess around with their system, especially like the Gear 1. If they're trying to like push 68, 60, or whatever, 7000, if they're doing cold or something like that. Stuff like that, you know? You have 3 M.2 ports, which is pretty good for an M80X board. Great VRM heatsink. I like the fact that it doesn't have RGB on board, but that could also be a negative, because some people would actually prefer it to be a little bit flashier. Personally, I don't mind it. I think there's a lot of good to say about this board, honestly. It's not bad. And the overclocking, apparently, the memory overclocking is there, because the 84 was working almost straight out the box, basically. Like, I would just probably need to adjust a bunch of voltages or RTTs to make it work properly. And yeah, it's a pretty fun board. Like, I don't mind it. It's really like, oh my god, I can't believe how big of a negative it is that you don't have GDM. And I guess the first option for the BIOS, you know? So like first window. And we also found out about the little glitch in the BIOS where you press F10, enter, and then you can control alt delete out of the BIOS. The board doesn't restart fully, you know, and it just goes straight into posting. So that's a bit of an interesting glitch. I've never experienced that on any other brand. So I think actually that's it in terms of the review. Set from auto? I don't think so. I don't know. It also, like, one little thing. It comes with the backplate for the VRM, which is also pretty cool. And it comes with the, I would assume that that's a I2C interface connector for the controller for the VRM. So if you really want to mess around with this board, you can. Great I/O, right? Great I/O. You have the flashback button on the backside. You have the CMOS button on the backside. There's one thing we didn't test. What happens? What happens if I press the CMOS button while the system is on? Let's see. Okay, it shuts down and restarts. It doesn't even restart, by the way. It doesn't even start anymore. So that is one little thing. It's a minor thing on this one because the button is actually hidden behind the I/O, so it's really difficult to actually press it. But that is a negative in my book. The fact that when you press the CMOS button, it shuts down the system. It should not. If the system is powered on and you press the CMOS, nothing should happen. The CMOS should only work when the system is fully off and you're pressing it. That's when the CMOS should work. But yeah, barely any negatives about this board, by the way. Barely any. It's all decent. not bad. Really not bad. Good experience. For a colorful board like this. Not bad. Yeah. That about does it for this one. Literally. That does it for this one. Thank you guys for sticking around and experiencing this board with me. It's been an adventure, an interesting adventure, you know. I don't know what's to come next. I think it should be the ITX PC next. We'll see if that's gonna happen or not. But this has been a good one. This has been a good one. Good test. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the board. But yeah. Have a nice weekend, guys. Have a nice weekend. Ow. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.